next guest, as because he's the man who actually covers them.
I did hear there was a ton of people.
Yeah, go, Timmy! Bring home a Super Bowl, Tim! Right before you got on the plane. On the tarmac, this was. We welcome him in right now. He, of course, covers the Eagles for ESPN.com. He's on the Comcast Business Hotline. His name is Tim McManus. Timmy!
What's up, Mike? It's tough getting through those crowds on those kind of situations, Just
wait, hold on a second. There's A.J. Brown. But wait, is that McManus? Let's go.
Oh, man.
Here we go.
I know. So many fans, so little time.
Tim, you're living a dream.
Yeah.
All right, so Tim, have you landed in the Big Easy?
Yeah, I landed yesterday afternoon, right around the time that the Eagles did, actually. Got here around 3:30, so I've had boots on the ground. I went this morning, took a nice 20-minute walk over to the convention center, picked up my media credentials, got to check out the town, had a little Nina Simone going in the headphones to set the vibe, and we're just living the dream over here.
Oh, very nice, Tim. All right, so what's the schedule now with as far as you guys covering practices and such? Where will they practice? What kind of media availability will they be giving you this week?
Yeah, so we have a media night tonight. So that's the first sort of big kickoff. It's always just sort of a total mess over there with media from all over the place. It's a show, but that runs tonight, starting at around 7:00. The Eagles go first, and then the Chiefs, and then the Eagles will kick off into their practice schedule, and we get some media availability every day. So we'll be going over to the team hotel tomorrow morning, and we have availability really through Friday. So they start getting into their practice mindset, and we get to talk to them. So it's going to be plenty coming from this end.
Will you actually be able to watch practices?
No, they do like one pool reporter per team, and then that person distributes what he or she saw from practice. That's kind of the way it's been the last ever since I've been covering the Super Bowls anyway.
All right, so you've been with the team for a while. Last week, obviously, going through some practices and things like that. How would you describe their mindset right now?
I would say determined, for sure. This is, and Jordan Mailata said this right after the NFC Championship game, that essentially, they continue to carry that chip on their shoulder from the Super Bowl loss. That's 2 years worth of carrying that weight. I think it got the better of them, honestly, last year when they were coming off of the loss to the Chiefs, where it just kind of consumed their entire season and changed their attitudes, where everything just felt really heavy. But they have since been able to sort of change that and keep sort of the resolve, but also find joy. And I think some of that has been, Nick Sirianni at the head and establishing that, making sure that they're celebrating sort of along the way and the smaller victories as they build up to what has been the goal for 2 years now. And so it seems like a very determined group, one that just sort of talks about the opponent as, and I've heard multiple players say this now, of like they're just the next team in the way to what we want to accomplish. And so that's really the mindset that's taken hold of this team really throughout most of the season.
Tim, there are a lot of Eagle fans that are very optimistic about this. Usually, people are scared. But I think most fans are confident that this team is going to deliver in that Super Bowl. So let's X and O it a little bit. What did the Eagles have to do to Mahomes? And conversely, what do you think Spagnuolo tries to do against this Eagle running offense?
Yeah, so, Spagnuolo versus Hurts is sort of a major one for me here. He dials up a lot of blitzes that are unpredictable. It could come from anywhere at any time. And as we know, Hurts has taken over the majority of the pass protection since Jason Kelce retired. And I think he's pretty well thrived at that. He's one of the better quarterbacks against the blitz this season, but this is the biggest test that he's going to face. Spagnuolo is just awesome at dialing it up. And so that's sort of the chess match that's going to be very much worth watching. As we know, the passing game hasn't always been called into like prolific duty for much of this season. We've seen it in spurts, and Hurts, like against the Commanders, rose to the occasion, but this is going to be a different type of defense that he's going to be facing against a defensive coordinator that's proven as good as there is in modern-day football. So that's the one. As far as Patrick Mahomes, I went back and I watched the AFC title game, and one thing that he did really well was just kind of being always on the move to alleviate whatever sort of inefficiencies they have up front. And so he's just tough to get to, and mix that with what they were doing was like a quick RPO game where he was getting the ball out of his hands very fast to neutralize the pass rush. And we've also seen Mahomes, like in this postseason, he has 2 throwing touchdowns. He also has 2 rushing touchdowns. So he's been utilizing his legs to put pressure on the defense. So that's a long way of saying you're going up against the current, greatest quarterback on. And part of what makes him so hard to contain is that he can get on the outside and he can manipulate your defense that way. So I think that guys like Nolan Smith are going to come in to play big time here, making sure they're setting the discipline so that Mahomes can escape and get those extra first downs and those like longer games where he likes to toe along the sideline and just beg you to hit him so you can get an extra 15 yards. Like they need to make sure that they have a disciplined rush so that they can limit, obviously, the damage that Mahomes can do.
All right, Tim, I'm going to talk about Mike's favorite topic because he mentioned that a lot of the fans are optimistic, but one thing they're not optimistic about is the referees headed into this game because it appears that the Chiefs always seem to get the calls from the refs. Now, what's your take on that whole situation?
So my wife actually references this all the time when one of my kids complains about the referees in their respective sports. And she always goes back to Super Bowl 57 and what Jalen Hurts said at the podium afterwards as kind of like a life lesson to the kids. It's like I want to put my team in a position where that kind of stuff doesn't come into play, where I'm controlling it and there's not outside factors that are controlling it. That's the answer. Like, there's conspiracy theories. You can call it what you want. You can say that the Chiefs are very smart and they know how to, get those calls. You can say that it's, the NFL just wants the Chiefs. However you want to slice it, like the Eagles just can't let it get into a situation where it gets dictated by outside forces. And that happened in Super Bowl 57. At the very end, there's been debate ever since then, right? It's 2 years. Did Bradbury, did that warrant a holding call? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But it came down to it, and it was an outside influence that the Eagles allowed to happen. So really this game is, be the better team consistently and sort of just step on the gas and don't let up. Grab a commanding lead, dominate the game like you've been dominating all season. Don't let the refs have any kind of influence.
Now, Tim, I actually have some hidden agenda on why I keep bringing it up because I think, and tell me if you agree with me, the more this is discussed, the more unlikely it is that the referees will give the benefit of the doubt to the Kansas City Chiefs because you had D'Amico Ryans talk about it after their loss. You had Sean McDermott talk about it after their loss. This has become a big talking point, not only here locally, but nationally. Do you think this is going to impact, though, with the way the referees call this game, where maybe they're not going to say, you know what, we're going to give that personal foul call against the Eagles because we keep hearing the outside noise? Any chance this benefits the Eagles with all this noise?
I think you got coaching in your future, Bill, if you want it. You're working the refs before the game.
Every angle, man.
Trying to get some calls to go your way. I like it. There's a lot of attention on it. I don't think that I'm not sure that it's really going to heavily influence the way that the referees call the game. They're going to, I just kind of feel like the Chiefs are pretty good at drawing those penalties, honestly. And I'm sure there is there always is going to be an emphasis on protecting the quarterback. And we have seen over the course of the years, star quarterbacks tend to get a little bit of preferential treatment. But yeah, it can't hurt to put a little notice on it for sure.
Last question, Timmy. This was the theme of our show early on, and we're talking about whether it's indigenous to Philly alone to bail out on our own people before we should. The examples being, we wanted Sirianni fired. We wanted Hurts replaced. We wanted Roseman to be knocked out of there. To me, I think it's appropriate that we put that kind of heat. We're a big market team. Bill thinks that we are not patient enough, and because we're not patient enough, we almost lost a brilliant mind like Nick Sirianni. Your thoughts?
We're going brilliant mind now with Nick Sirianni.
Well, that's Bill.
All right.
The smartest coach in the world.
That's Bill. Then that's
All
not,
right.
not me.
Yeah, he's done a great job. I think there's something to be said for patience. But you know, Philly is Philly, and I think that having that kind of heat ultimately is not a bad thing. Like the standard is very high here, and the thing that I love about it is it's been that high even when the play wasn't even close to where the standard was. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and a lot of those teams were just, on the outside looking in, and yet, fans just wanted things to be, at a championship level. And lo and behold, starting with Andy Reid, things started trending in that direction. Finally able to get over the hump in that 2017 season. And the Eagles have been, formidable throughout that time. I think that the pressure in the city, is really doesn't work against them in that way. It's not something that the team loves all the time. Certainly the scrutiny, they probably wish that they're getting more credit or maybe getting like a little bit more slack than they get. But when you have a town and a media that is always, making sure that they are held to account, that does something to, I think, as well. It's like we can't slip. And so, and if you were to talk to players and you were to talk to coaches and executives, like I think they feel that. And, the right people thrive off of that. Not everybody can make it in this town. There's no question about that. Maybe there were some people who were real high talents that were kind of lost along the way because of that dynamic. But I don't think Philadelphia has anything to apologize for in the way that they care, in the way that they hold their teams to account. Yeah. It's why I love the city.
I totally agree with you. All right, I'm not going to ask you for predictions. Early in the week, you got to process a lot of stuff. So maybe later in the week when we're in New Orleans. And feel free to stop by our little Radio Row booth if you're.
I would love to do that.
Out. Yeah, come into the convention center and find us and sit down with us for a little bit.
I'm in. I'm 100%. You guys are
there. And I'll try to arrange the budget. I'll try to work with the budget for you.
Yeah, maybe if you can have a nice spread there, that would be good.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a spread, all right. Timmy, thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
I'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Tim McManus on the Comcast Business Hotline covering the Eagles for ESPN.
Hey, everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos. It's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.